Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel McKinney, and this is a video series brought to you by Perinatal Connect, a resource organization working to improve maternal mental health during the perinatal period. I have 3 children. I am a childbirth educator, a birth doula, and a postpartum doula here in our community. And Emily.
My name is Emily, and I am a patient researcher on Perinatal Connect. I have a 5-year-old son, and I work as a social work professor at Millikan University.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Emily. And then we have Christine Lieb. She is the executive director of Real Life Families. So we're going to start off our video series with her. And this video series is just meant to highlight community services that we have here in Champaign-Urbana that are helping families, during the COVID time and throughout, normal, the normal times also. So Christine, why don't you introduce yourself and Real Life Families to us?
Sounds great. All right, so I have a little presentation to go along, so bear with me as I get that opened up. All right, so as she said, I'm the executive director and founder of Real Life Families, and basically, I realized just how hard that parenting was for me. I realized that parenting wasn't an easy endeavor, but yet had lifelong consequences, and it felt very overwhelming. My background is in education, and I was very supported as an educator, and I went to school for 4 years, and I did all kinds of observations of teachers, and I did my student teaching. And then when I got my first job, I had people coming in and observing me and administrators evaluating me. And we had professional development classes on how you could be a better teacher. And that was just to teach science to kids for 40 minutes. Granted, I did it 7 times a day, but I only saw that child for 40 minutes to teach them science. And I thought there is something way wrong that when I had my first child, that they literally just sent me home. And there was no training, there was no nothing about the impact that my parenting was going to have on that child. And so as I was in the parenting profession with absolutely no training, and after I had so many real life moments, I can't even count all the screaming and the pooping and the, there was one time that my oldest, when he was only, I don't know, maybe a few weeks old, I mean, that kid had lava poop that exploded 3 feet across the room. And then as I was changing that diaper, he proceeded to pee on his own face. I mean, people do not prepare you for stuff like that. I mean, and that's just meeting their physical demands. But then you get into the emotional demands of raising kids and helping them make decisions and developing their character. And it just was so overwhelming. And so what I realized is that something needed to be done. And that's what I'm doing through Real Life Families, is actually taking parenting seriously and doing something to support parents on their journey. And so this is my family. Again, 1 second of what we look like. My husband and I have been married over 20 years. He's an educator. Also, I teach parents, and he teaches elementary kids music. And my oldest is 12. My daughter is 9, and then my youngest is 7, which I can't believe. But as you know, this is 1 second of what a family looks like. And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and just so many aspects of a family that are really complex. And that's what we dive into with families, is let's get real. Let's talk about how hard it is, but then let's find solutions to make things better, to make things easier, to really work together. So a little bit about, I already shared my brief story. Because there was such a lack of parenting support, I actually started in 2014 with an organization called For Real Moms. And our mission was just to empower moms, equip moms, help them find their life purpose. We did a little bit of parenting stuff, but the more that I worked with moms, the more that I realized that it needed to be a whole family that was being supported. And so in 2017, we decided to change our name. We became a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our goal was to build better families and focus on parents and focus on kids and that whole family unit. I love the idea behind our mission, and that is to equip, encourage, empower parents to raise happier, healthier, and heartier children. And I like that word heartier because it's just helping kids be strong and resilient and flexible. And I think that with this pandemic going on, like that word just really stuck out to me as something that we as parents can use this pandemic to really help our kids learn to be resilient and to be stronger, no matter what our circumstances are. So I really like that particular word. And then as I shared just to support the family unit. And when we take our time supporting the family, parents in particular, that has an impact not only on their home, but it has an impact on our neighborhoods, it has an impact on our schools, it has an impact on our entire community. And I believe the whole world. I mean, I think that if we spent more time and energy and resources supporting parents and that the family and making the family stronger, then I think our entire world would be better. So through our mission to empower parents, we have 3 current programs that we are offering our community. We have support groups, and the 2 that we have running now are the Strong-Willed Toddler Parenting Group, which is always one of my favorite parenting groups. And then there were several board members who wanted us to do some, because obviously we want to start early. We want to equip parents as early as possible, but we also recognize, based on some of our board members too, that parents that have teenagers want some support too. And so we just recently started a monthly support group for parents who are raising teenagers. So I'm excited about that. And that one you can join anytime. Same with the Strong-Willed Toddler Parenting Group. You can join them anytime. We also have one-on-one coaching programs, and we offer just one-on-one support where I just sit with you. Obviously, we hope to have more coaches in the future. Right now, I'm the coach, but I love just to sit down with parents one-on-one, listen to what they're going through, and just provide solutions, because coaching is about, here's the problem, let's figure out a way to solve it, and let's work as a team in order to do that. And then the other piece to our mission is to provide parent education. Now, obviously, with the coronavirus, we haven't been able to do this out into the community like we would prefer, but we are offering parent education opportunities through classes and workshops on Zoom, and we are partnering. Recently, we partnered with We Disciples Preschool, and we brought the community a class called No More Sibling Rivalry. And in November, we're partnering with First Baptist Church, and they're going to help us put together and promote a class called No More Picky Eaters. And it's not just going to be about picky eating. It's going to be about teaching kids to eat healthy, to be grateful, and to just really enjoy unified family time around the dinner table. So be looking for that class coming in November. And just always check out our website. If this airs later after the class is over, just know that we always offer more classes to support parents. The approach that we use currently, just because I am the executive director of Real Life Families, is an approach to parenting that I've developed called the Teamwork Parenting Approach. And this approach is a research-based, faith-based, and attachment-based authoritative approach to parenting. And so what I've found is that it is just the absolute most effective parenting style there is. And so that's why we are currently using this method. It provides a balance of rules respecting the parent's authority, as well as relationship respecting the child, that is appropriate to each phase of development. It also teaches practical tools to meet the needs, physical, cognitive, emotional, and social, of the child at every stage of development. And what I love about it most is that it focuses on working as a team, not only within your family unit, but just in between each child, with your spouse. And because it is faith-based, we also encourage parents to team with God in their parenting goals. But it's also about character development and really focusing on the heart of the child, and not just managing behavior, but helping them make those good, right, kind, respectful, and responsible choices. Because parenting is a long-term mission, and we want to make sure that we're making decisions in our parenting now that will impact our children long-term. And that's what the teamwork parenting approach does. And what I love about it is that it allows flexibility for cultural differences, as well as individual parent and child personality differences. Because with a lot of information of just, okay, here's a bunch of information, here's everything you need to know about parenting, that feels overwhelming. But tools feel very empowering, where you can say, well, I don't really like this tool. It doesn't really go with what I believe in my family and with my children and the way that I am, but I really like this tool. And so it's kind of a mix and match. And that's what the tool system is all about, is just saying, here are tools available. And then you take your culture, your beliefs, your values, your background, and you tweak it to how it's going to work for your family. Because that's what we believe, is that parents are the expert of their children. And sometimes all they need is just one tool or a little tweak that makes all the difference. So one of our new coaching programs, remember that is one of our main programs, is coaching. But what we're going to be doing is taking coaching on the go, taking it to the streets of Champaign-Urbana, and really creating this sense of support for the family all throughout the community. So we want to be out there talking about family, talking about parenting, and I'm really excited about this new coaching program on the go. The idea behind it is that we would partner with community organizations, parks, businesses, just even parking lots, and just going where parents and families are already going. And how can we show up and be there as an additional support? We're going to be bringing in our on-the-go mobile. We'll be bringing socially distanced tables, chairs, and canopies. We'll be providing parenting resources that parents can come and look through and just take home and learn from. We're also going to be having a parenting library. Orphan's Treasure Box already helped us out with that. I got 2 huge boxes of books from them to support our parenting library. And we're also asking for community members. Like, if you have really good parenting books or really encouraging books that would help a parent or a family, let me know. We would love to add them to our parenting library. But the main idea of this, which I absolutely love, is that it will provide a parent helping parent model. So this program isn't about taking parenting experts out onto the streets. It is about training parents to go out and be mentors for other parents. So that way it's more of a, what I found in my research is that when information, when encouragement, when advice, when suggestions are given from other parents to other parents, it is a lot more well received. And that's what we want. We want parents to feel comfortable coming and asking questions, to know that they're getting information from parents who understand, who've been there, who've done that. And so that is our model that we're using, Parents Helping Parents. We want it to be this community-wide effort, and we want the parents who are helping the other parents to be very diverse, because we live in a very diverse community. So we want that diversity to be reflected in the volunteers that we get. And we want parents to be comfortable coming up and seeing a diverse group of parents represented. The idea then is that they would be able to just get parenting support, ask questions, receive prayer if they are parents of faith, but more importantly, just to be listened to, empathized with, and encouraged. Because I don't know about you, but anytime that I hear that another parent has gone through what I've gone through or understand what I'm going through, it's like, you get it, you understand, I'm not the only one, or, I'm not crazy, or my child's not crazy. And so I think there's a lot to be said about just having that listening ear with someone who understands, who's been there and can recognize exactly what you're going through. But that can also offer some suggestions and advice, or, hey, here's what I've tried, or, hey, here's what I learned in my training. And so that's the idea. And more importantly, we want to remove the stigma for asking for parenting help. So if we're out there and it's just this relaxed, like, hey, we're all parents here and we want to help each other out, that's the idea, is that we want to remove that stigma of asking for help, because we all need help. I mean, I need help, and I have been trained in parenting. I know what I'm doing. I know what I should be doing, but it's still hard for me. We all need help, and I just want to have that comfort level, that kinship, that togetherness of, hey, we're all in this together, so why don't we help each other out? And we want to start a movement for supporting parents, kids, and families as a community priority. As I said earlier, if we did this and we focused more on parents and family and helping kids be raised in homes where they are loved and valued and respected, then, oh my word, imagine what changes that we would see throughout our community. So we want to make this a community priority, and we hope that this Family Coaching on the Go program is going to help do that for the CU community. And ultimately, we want to nurture and support that healthy parent-child relationship, right? Because as we said, it's that ripple effect. If the healthier that parent-child relationship means that child is healthier, and then that's going to spread, like I said earlier, to the home, to the neighborhoods, to the schools, to our community, and ultimately to the entire world. And so that's the exciting part. We cannot wait to get this started, and you can always contact us to be a volunteer for this program if you have the heart, like I do and like our board members do, for helping families in our community. Then we want you on board. I love this quote: if a community values its children, it must cherish its parents. That is just so beautiful, and really our entire goal of this mission and of our organization. So before I leave you, I wanted to share, because we're all about building that positive parent-child relationship, and we believe that the earlier that this starts, the better. And what we've found is that when parents are more confident in their job and when they have tools that they can use, then there's better outcomes for the children. Because confident parents mean that kids are well taken care of, and they're able to be more responsive and more warm and more empathetic to the child's needs. And when that child receives that, better outcomes for that child. And so that's what I wanted to talk about for the remaining part of our time today, is 3 just simple tools to build a positive relationship with your baby right from the start. And here they are. We'll go into a little bit more detail. The affection tool, the narration tool, and the play tool. So again, these are tools that you can use and you can adapt to however you want to in your family. So let's talk about the affection tool first. First of all, you cannot spoil your baby with too much affection. So just know that. They are never spoiled with too much affection, especially that little age. But honestly, I just read recently that a psychologist recommends for all children at every age to touch them 100 times a day. And I was like, wow, that's a lot. But I think what her point was just that increase of affection to your children, and that it's going to look differently based on your comfort level, based on your kids' needs. But I think that when it comes to babies, the more that you can touch them and connect with them on that physical level, the better that the outcomes are going to be for that child. Because affection builds trust, it strengthens your bond with them, and it creates a secure attachment. Because remember, the teamwork parenting approach is all about building that relationship and creating a secure attachment to your child. And affection does that, really, at no matter any age that they are, but especially at a baby. The affection positively impacts their social and emotional development. And their physical development too, I tell you. I mean, I should have added that on there too, but definitely their social and emotional development. So just give lots of hugs and kisses and snuggles and gentle touches. I mean, you can even just massage your baby's feet. I love to get, when my kids were little, I would get that lavender lotion and just rub it on the bottom of their feet, rubbing lotions on their legs, on their arms, their backs, their bellies. And then you can always just carry your baby with you. I could never get those, those Moby wraps or whatever they're called, but they're awesome for just providing that warmth and just closeness and that affection that your baby needs. Number 2, another quick tool that you can use to build a close relationship with your child, your baby, right from the start is the narration tool. The narration tool, first of all, knowing that narration is just that you're talking, right? And remembering that your voice is your baby's favorite sound in the whole wide world, right? Their little eyes are watching, their little ears are listening, and their little brains are learning. And the funny thing is that's what that was supposed to say, but I remember that I got distracted because my son needed something for school, so I didn't complete that. But that's what that was supposed to say. Little eyes are watching, little ears are listening, and little brains are learning from everything that we are doing and saying in front of them. So just remember that. But that your voice is really important to your baby. So we want to use that to our advantage. And so I recommend to babies to parents to become a narrator and talk about and explain everything that you're doing. Not that they understand everything that you're talking about or explaining to them, but that builds a connection with them. And it builds connections in their brains every time that you talk to them, every time that you explain something to them. And that's just a simple thing to do. They encourage you to talk slowly, using high-pitched happy voice, but I encourage parents to use correct words and not baby talk so that you can tell them exactly what something is, you can explain exactly what something does. I mean, I remember I used this tool with my kids and my daughter was 14 months old, and we had a babysitter for a date night. And I remember that she walked over to a glass that I had sitting on the table, and the babysitter is my witness. And she put her finger on the glass and she said, "Mommy, you have condensation on your glass." And I was a science teacher, so I always talk about stuff, narrating my life, right? And I was like, "Oh, see the condensation, and here's how it happens." And so because I took the time to narrate what was happening on the side of my glass another time, she was telling the babysitter that I had condensation on my glass, 14 months old. But that is what happens when we talk to our babies and we narrate our lives. It positively impacts their communication and language skills, obviously, as you saw with knowing the word condensation at 14 months. But again, it makes those connections in their brain. And this also helps their social and emotional development because you're connecting with them, you're talking to them, you might smile at them like, "Oh, Mommy feels so happy because this happened or this happened." I mean, you just talk to them constantly about everything that's going on. And so here are some examples. So like mommy is cutting up carrots for our soup. See the carrot? It's orange. Carrots are very healthy for our bodies. Daddy is hugging you because he loves you. Mommy is taking a walk around the block. See the houses, the mailboxes, the dogs, the blackbirds, the blue sky. So you can just point and talk about everything that you see. Again, you're building those brain connections and you're building their vocabulary even before they can talk. Daddy loves his family. I love you. I love mommy. I love you all so much, and we are a team. I always want to put in there as early as possible to help create that sense of team within your family, even when you have a little baby. And then don't forget to add that affection tool by touching and hugging the baby for extra benefits while you're talking to the baby. Like, oh, mommy is rubbing your feet and you have 10 toes. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how you can do that? The third tool, and this is our final tool, is the play tool. And yes, infants can play too. This is a really important part of their development. Play can positively impact physical, communication and language, cognitive brain, and social and emotional development. I told you I was going to get interrupted. Hang on. What, sweetheart? Okay, that's fine. I'm not on a break right now. I'm teaching a class, okay? So can you go find something quietly to do? And I'll be down in a minute. That's fine. Thank you, buddy. Real life moments. Okay. So we want this play aspect, if you notice, I mean, it was like every aspect of development comes out with play. And I mean, they've even found kids who have the lack of play have some really serious disorders, because the lack of play in kids it's just devastating. And so we can play even when our babies are little, and that can have a huge impact on their brain and their body and on their social and emotional development. So here are examples of play. Just simply reading books. Like, to me, why not introduce that reading is fun? And, when babies are little, reading books can be very interactive. There's, a lot of books have those things that they can touch, where you can take their hands and you can touch, let's pet the duck. Let's be gentle while we're petting the duck or petting the puppy or whatever. And they have things in the books that are crinkly or shiny. And I think reading books can be such a beautiful part of play with a baby. And you just sit them right on your lap and just read books and talk to them. And do you see like just how everything is included with this type of play? Because there's affection and there's narration and there's closeness and there's playfulness, and that is just so incredible for a baby. You can play peekaboo. I mean, this has a lot of teaching elements just from object permanence, like that you are going to go away, but then you're going to come back. And so I think that's a good thing, but it's also very silly. There can be a lot of smiling and giggling, and it's just fun. I mean, my kids, even to this day, like it when I go, when I hide and go, peekaboo. I don't know. It's silly. Sometimes you can even make faces. Like when you come up, you can just make silly faces. But I just think the game of peekaboo is so simple and yet can really teach our kids a whole lot. Flashcards. This is such a great one. And again, it's kind of like reading, where it can be very playful, very interactive, a lot of affection, a lot of narration, but it's also learning, just like with reading books. It's learning language. It's learning to label things. So we just had those really simple flashcards with dog, ball, cat, hat, all those things. But then it gives you an opportunity to talk about them and talk about their colors and talk about where we see them. And it just gives you so many ways to interact with your baby and play. Tummy time. This is another great way to play with your baby, really boosting like their physical development. Doctors will say that tummy time often helps with with rolling over and crawling and walking and just all of the other stages of physical development after tummy time. It really helps with that. It develops their neck. But what I recommend is that you do this with them, because I'll be honest, my kids hated tummy time. I mean, I was always recommended, do tummy time. Tummy time is really helpful. And they hated it. So what I found is that when I did it with them, so I would lay them on their tummy, and then I would lay on my tummy facing my baby, and then we were eye to eye and face to face, and then I could talk and be silly. But I only did it just for a few minutes, right? Because I think sometimes too, when we do things with babies, we think it has to be a really long time, when in reality, it can be just a couple of minutes, and just do it a few times a day. But it's just a great way if you're thinking like, what do I do now? It's like, we'll just do tummy time just for a few minutes. And that really did help my kids learn to roll over and crawl and all of the other developmental milestones for the physical development. The other thing about tummy time too is that it can lead into doing some exercises. So if they're completely done with tummy time, like I said, my kids hated it. But then I would roll them over, again, kind of showing them that motion of rolling over. But then you can be playful and do little exercises with their hands and their legs. And again, you can kind of count their fingers, count their toes. And this is affection, this is narration, and it's also play. But I like too that you can take their arms and move it up and down, again, being gentle, but just getting their arms going, getting their legs pedaling. That also helps with constipation, like to pedal their legs. But I liked it too, where we would just be like, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. So just being silly with them. And again, it covers all of the other areas too, the affection, the narration, and it's playful. So just in closing, I just want to remind you that babies don't need a bunch of toys. They don't need electronics. They need you. They need your affection. They need your talking and your interaction with your words. And they just need your playfulness and your closeness. And that's what they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine, for a very great overview of what Real Life Families is doing and the new programs that are coming up, and how to connect with your baby. That is awesome. I know that right now it feels, right now and just in general, I remember feeling so isolated even after I had my first, and we were not in a pandemic.
Totally.
Yeah, and so it feels like I don't know what the right thing I'm supposed to do is, and there's so many books and parenting advice. It feels, very conflicting sometimes.
Totally.
So I really feel like it's also helpful just to listen to your gut too. There were many times that even family members of mine had said, you don't need to pick up your baby. She's fine, and you don't need to. It was like, but I want to. Like, yes. There's like, yes. that gut feeling to be like, I don't want her just to lay there and cry, or that doesn't feel right. And so a lot of what you were saying, really kind of lines up with what some of those gut feelings were. So it's nice to see that there is that research that also complements, some of those instincts that we have also. So
yeah,
amen. So important. Yeah. Amen. And so now with, people having babies that were in isolation, it is hard to find those connections. So, it's great that these classes are on Zoom also, so you're adjusting to meet the demands of our ever-changing world, and just trying to be flexible and creative with all of your problem solving to get these resources out to families. Yeah Awesome. And I just want to make sure that go ahead.
I was going to say, just thank you for having me. I mean, any opportunity that I can take to encourage a mom, a dad, a parent in any way is just a privilege. So I take it very seriously, and I just appreciate you guys asking me, and would love to stay connected with our community and do whatever we can to support parents.
Yeah. So if people want to volunteer or are looking for some parenting support, where can they find you?
So they can go to reallifefamilies.org. We don't have our page up yet for the volunteering. We're working on that now for the Family on the Go coaching program, or the Family Coaching on the Go program. But they can call 217-721-7449. They can email us at reallifefamilies.org@gmail.com. And then we're going to work on having it on our website. So they could go to our website once we get that up and going.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Emily, do you have any questions for?
I just really appreciated it, especially when I was a new parent. I come from more of like a more military family, and so they were always criticizing how sweet I was to Noah, and I actually like they were kind of saying that I was ruining him as a baby because I was just so sweet to him, and I had to talk to a therapist about it, and she said that same thing, like, you literally cannot spoil a baby, like you cannot spoil them. Yeah. And I just enjoyed it so much. I mean, I went through a lot of postpartum depression.
Me too.
And I feel a lot of gratitude for the affirmation you gave me about how I did parent my son when he was a baby. Like, kind of like what Rachel said, there was a lot of gut instinct. And I mean, even though I was going through so much, I still read to him. I mean, I have to say I did do baby talk with him. I still do baby talk. I don't know. I love baby talk, so I will have to work on that. But it just brought back so many wonderful memories of my baby Noah. You can't imagine, he's such a bad little boy now, but he was the sweetest baby, and it just reminded me of all those, tummy time and the kicking the feet, and it was wonderful. I feel more confident in trusting my motherly instincts. So I appreciate that.
Well, and I'm so glad that you said that, because that's what we find often with our classes and with our tools, is that some of it is absolutely learning, where they're like, wow, that's a great idea. I never tried that before. But a lot of it is also confirming what you're already doing and saying, yay, I'm doing that. And so it feels good as a parent, and that builds your confidence, which then helps you be more calm and helps you be more connected with your child and be able to be more cooperative, where you can work as a team and solve problems together. And so I think that's the idea behind the tools too, is to say, here's the tool, here's what you can do with it, here's the research behind it. And it gives parents that, yes, like, I'm so glad that I do that, or I did that, or I want to do that, right? So it's like, yay, I'm doing that, or yay, I did that, or oh gosh, I want to do that. And I think that's great, because I find myself in a lot of all those different categories when I learn something new. Like, hey, yeah, I did it, or I want to do it, or I did do it. So anyway,
I think there are so many pieces of parenting, or that that do feel that intuitive, and then there are the other pieces where you're like, I have no idea what to do now.
Yes.
And to not feel confident, like you said, Christine, when you have a baby and they're like, okay, later. I'm like, you can't just send me home. But they do, and they do it to everybody else, and there just isn't enough resources to either confirm some of those instinctual things that you feel, or to help you when you feel like, I don't know what else to do, and I'm not, I want to make a good choice for my family. And so I'm glad Real Life Families is an organization that is serving our community, and we're very lucky to have you and your expertise, and just that passion and drive that you have, because we can definitely hear it and feel it even over Zoom, for how important this is to you. So I appreciate you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Do you want me to stop recording?
Yes.